Hi, this is Tranisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about what are you willing to sacrifice? So that is a very long title. So what I'm probably going to end up naming it is willing to sacrifice. And so what made me want to do a video on willing to sacrifice is earlier today, I was not, I don't want to say in the best mood. I started my day with intentionality. I I was thankful to God in the morning when I woke up and I did my speaking life into myself thing. I started to play my positive messages that I play sometimes, and as I'm playing these positive messages, I just feel weak. Not that I was weak, but in that moment I felt weak. And I couldn't understand where the weakness was coming from. And I don't know if it's just something, if it has to do with the things that I've been doing in my life lately, or if it has to do with mental warfare. But it seemed like the adversary was really pulling on me. And I know it sounds strange. It's sometimes in my life when I'm so joyous, when I am going through life and I'm hopeful and I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing and I'm being obedient, I feel good. And I think that I heard a sermon earlier today and the pastor talked about calling God by his name. And as he went through different things, he went through different things that we can call God. And when we need him, what we could call him. And he went through all the names that other people had called him in the Bible, like Jehovah Jireh and all the other things. And he came across one that I needed in that moment. But I didn't listen to this until later. So this was in the morning. I wasn't sure exactly how to call on God. Like I, like I know how to call on God, but in that moment when I felt weak, it felt like it felt like the adversary was fighting against me. It the adversary or my own mental warfare, whatever it is. It felt like it was strong. And every positive message that played on this video, there was a negative one that entered into my mind. Just as soon as the positive one was said, every single one. And I got towards the end of it and I could feel it pull away from me. And I know it sounds so strange, but mental warfare is real. And people will say, "Oh, this is just you. You got to do this." I was trying. I really was thankful. I was in the right mindset. I was listening to positive messages, and still something was trying to keep me down. Something was trying to pull me down. Something was trying to remind me of what I'm not every single step of the way. And I don't know, like I said, if it's because of the things that I've been doing lately, or if it's, you know, just some of the things that I've been going through lately, like when I'm not standing up for myself, when something truly matters to me and I'm not being true to myself. Sometimes that pulls a little bit away from me. It pulls some of the joy and the peace and the hope that I have inside of me away when I allow anyone to come in. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a new person. Whenever I allow someone to come into my life and to make me bend to something that they want or to be someone that I'm not, it takes a piece of me away. It really does. It's like that barrier, that protective barrier that God put around me has a crack in it because I decided to weaken myself in that moment. And I think that that's what allows the adversary an avenue to enter into our mind, our body, and our soul. That's the thing that makes us weak in the moments when we could be strong. That's the thing that contradicts all of those positive messages when we are trying to build ourselves up. Every time we try to be something that we're not for anybody else, it takes a piece of you away. Because I don't know if you've ever seen the video, but they have this fruit in a basket with unhealthy or rotten fruit in a basket with fresh fruit. And the rotten fruit changes all the other fruit to rotten because it's rotten. And so, whenever you are around someone who is changing your personality for the worse, who is disrupting your peace, who is making you lessen your standards or making you feel like you don't deserve better, a piece of their un I don't want to say unhealedness. A piece of the unhealed version of them rubs off on you. A piece of that insecurity rubs off on you. That doubt rubs off on you. That insecurity rubs off on you. Even if you're secure, even if you're strong, a little bit of that weakness rubs off on you. And sometimes we want to be strong for other people and we want to show them that they deserve better. It could be a family member, a friend, whatever else. But it's really one of those things where they have to realize it for themselves. You can tell them because it's good for someone to hear that. So when they do work on themselves, they can see that there was someone that believed in them and they can try to do better. But you can't live their life for them. And so I'm in this mood. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what was happening. I really just felt like a dark cloud or dark shadow over my, like, you know how when it's sunny, it's a sunny day and it's that one dark cloud that goes in front of it and the whole day looks dark. It was like that. And I guess that's what the whole dark cloud thing means. Or maybe it's like when it's getting ready to rain, it's a dark cloud. I don't know. But but it's just I could feel that around my positive energy being overshadowed by that negativity or that dark cloud. It was so weird. And it's almost like it was as if it was intentional because every one positive message had another positive negative comment or negative thing, connotation, a contradiction to every positive message. And is I really feel like it was the adversary because we all know that it takes more positivity to negate a negative remark, response, or comment than it does for a positive one. So every time someone says something negative or you think something negative, you have to think or say to scriptures or whatever something that's more than the negative thing in order to cancel it out. It's not like the negative and positive cancel each other out. They're still there. And even when it comes to thoughts, the negative thought is so much more powerful than the positive. So towards the end of this positive messages thing that I'm listening to, I just start saying thank you, God. It starts off as a whisper and then it gets louder and louder and I'm saying thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And the more I call on his name, the more I feel like I have the strength that I needed when I was super weak. And when I say weak, I don't mean like I'm a weak person or anything like that. I just mean I felt super weak and vulnerable in that moment. Like as if there was a crack in the protective shield that God had around me. I don't know if that makes any sense. And so God tells me, go to the gym and work out. And I'm like, okay. And usually I go to the gym maybe once a week. It's been on Mondays, but I didn't go yesterday and I planned on not going this week. But God was like, go to the gym. So I get ready to drop my daughter off at school and I'm checking emails and stuff and I go to the gym. And while I'm at the gym, I about 5 seconds into the workout, I could feel all the negativity start to leave my body, as if exercising. And I really believe it's because when you exercise, it releases endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. It releases toxicity in your body. A lot of mental health coaches and counselors and therapists say that when you're exercising, it really is healthy for your mind. So I believe that God knew exactly what it was that I needed in that moment to get me out of that vulnerable, weakened state. And it really allowed me to get rid of those toxic emotions, that negative self-talk, all of those things that were holding me back or bringing me down. And it really made me just focus on what it was that I was doing at the time, instead of me worrying about, what this one said, which I don't really worry about what people say, but I do worry about people's actions. And I know that's a silly thing because you can't control what anyone else is going to do. So, regardless of if, for example, if I want someone to like me or not, they have every right to either like me if they like me, or don't like me if they don't like me. And whether it's the job that wants me or they don't, they have every right to hire me if they feel like I'm a good fit, or not hire me if they have someone that's better. If it's a friendship, they have God has every right to remove that person from my life, regardless if I want them there or not. Not every person's supposed to be on the same level, on the level that God is taking you to, and not you can't be on everybody else's level either, because everybody has their own individual journey that they have to go through in life. And so it's those things like that that really make me start to feel a certain type of way, in a certain type of mood. And it's not that I don't believe in God for it or know that He's going to see me through. It's just that it really, it really makes me feel a certain type of way. I would like to sugarcoat it and pretend like I'm not an actual human being who just feels no emotions and just got it all figured out, but I don't. And you will not see me on these videos pretending as if I got it all together, because I don't have it all together. And I'm learning just like everyone else. I try to do the best that I can, just like most other people. And I say most because sometimes it's exhausting, and not a lot of people are willing to put forth an effort to work to become a better person, because it does take a lot and it is really hard. And you have to be about that life to be able to make it through and have God on your side. It's not something that I could even fathom doing on my own without God's help at all. And so I'm sitting in the gym, I'm working out, like 5 seconds in, I just feel like, okay, I got this, I got to do this. And this song comes on, and I don't listen to, any other music except for Christian music, because in my healing process, it really helped me to just stay focused on being positive and just focus solely on God, and not about everything else that was going on around me, or what culture was doing, or what the world was doing, or what other people feel like is acceptable. It was something that I had to do for myself so that I could really clear my mind and be focused only on God, and focused on my healing process. And so this song comes on, and it kind of makes me feel like, it gives me that emotion, like, I don't want to say helpless or hopeless, but, and it also made me feel a certain type of way. Like, it didn't make me feel like, oh, that's great, or oh, that sucks. It just made me feel, like, I don't, I feel like I have to say this in order for people to understand where I'm coming from in this situation, but I really truly feel like the adversary will show you what it is that you want. And because God isn't in it, it'll end in catastrophe. So it's almost like he's dangling something that you want in front of you to make you tormented, to make you tortured, to make you feel like you're getting something when you're doing the wrong thing. And in the end, it never works out. It never turns out good. It's never what you expected. It's always a catch. Like, it's always longer in the negative state than it is in the positive state. It's just, it really isn't good for you at all. And in the beginning, it looks so appetizing. It looks like the thing that you need. It looks like the thing that you want. And Satan really knows exactly what it is that you want. And he's not just going to give you things that are easy, that you're like, I'm not worried about that. He will give you something that you struggle with, the thing that you prayed to God to help see you out. And because you're stronger, you feel like you can handle it on your own, and you can't. The only thing that brought you through it in the first place was God, and the only thing that's going to help you through it this time is God. And I'm not just going to say the adversary everything. Sometimes God will allow the adversary to put you through a test to see if you're about that life. Sometimes he knows that you're one of his soldiers and you've been rocking with him, and you really lean on him, and you're in your word, and you're being diligent, you're being obedient. And he will allow the adversary to bring something into your life so that he could see if you're willing to sacrifice it for him. And I listened to this sermon later on. I feel like I should stop saying the sermon until I'm about to get to that point when I listen to the sermon, but it's relevant. So I listened to the sermon, and they talk about Abraham and his son, and how they were saying this is his only son, and that he was asked to sacrifice his only son, which it wasn't his only son. He had another son by his maid or something, servant, one of the servants, something like that. So, so it was, and the pastor said something which I truly can see how that could be the thing, because I don't believe that God thinks that you, because you made a decision before, that needs to be something that you don't get to have in your blessing. It made more sense in my head. But anyways, I think that it said only son because the other son was gone, and because the son that he had from his wife was still there. I think that's, the pastor said that, and I could see how that could be the thing. And so he asks him to sacrifice his son, and he goes to go sacrifice his son, and there's a ram in the bush. And he said most people would be willing to like just shout at that point and say, yes, I have a ram in the bush. Like, and even when you're in your worst time, even when you can't see a way out, even when you don't know that God's going to see you through, that there is a ram in the bush. And I do believe that preaches as well. And that is a good analogy. I also think, and this is what the pastor brought up, that Abraham's willingness to sacrifice is all God needed for him to show his loyalty, for him to show that he really was about that life. So not only was he obedient, but he had to be willing to sacrifice as well. And that's why I titled this Sacrifice. I believe that we do have to be willing to sacrifice some things. It could be something that we really, really want so badly, and God knows that it's something that we want, but unless his hand is in it, I can't have it. I can't just have it in my life. It might be hard. It might be difficult. I might not understand the reasons why I can't have that position, or I can't have that friendship or that person or whatever it is. But I know that without God in it, it would be nothing. It would be a heartache. It would be stressful. It would pull me off my level. It would make me into something that I'm not. It would make me feel insecure. It would make me feel jealous. It would make me feel like I need to be something that I'm not. And God already said I'm created exactly as he intended me to be. And I'm always striving for better. So even though it's hard, we do have to be willing to sacrifice. So I know I got off course right there, but I go and I'm feeling a little better. I feel joy creep back into my mind, my heart, my body, my soul. It really does feel like my body feels good because my temple is being cherished. It's being appreciated. I'm using the strength that God gave me, all of the limbs that I have. I'm using my body for better, so that I can better myself, so that I can become stronger, so that I can have a better mental health. And because I'm doing something positive, it's helping me. Even though it's giving glory and honor to God, I'm still helping myself as well. So I go to leave the gym, and I head to the grocery store, and there is someone's birthday is coming up. So I decided that I'm going to make them a cake for their birthday. So I'm in the grocery store, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get these simple ingredients and things, and I'm going to make myself a cake. well, make the cake for the other person. And I probably will try like a little teeny tiny piece, but I don't know. We'll see. So, you switch out certain ingredients and make it a little bit more delicious instead of it just being like a regular cake, regular box cake. Because I'm not doing it from scratch, but it's going to taste like it's from scratch. And no, I'm not a cook. I feel like I always have to say that because I talk about making stuff. I just really used to like baking when I would eat whatever I wanted. But that was because I just was being greedy, not because I'm a cook. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this cake. It's gonna be so I'm calling my grandma because I can't just pretend like I got it like that because I don't. But when you got a grandma on the speed dial, this is the thing. See, this is what makes me think I'm a preacher at heart too. When you sometimes the smartest thing you can do is call on somebody who has an answer for you. God did not say that we have to go through this battle alone. Sometimes there's things in our life, there's people that He introduces in our life, and things that He gives us to help us through the battle. It might not be an easy battle, it might be hard, it might be things that come in our way, but there will always be someone or something that we need to help us win because God does not give us a test so that we could fail it. He gives it to us to test our obedience and our willingness to follow His lead and to be in in our faith. So, and I don't know where that came from, but but I really truly do believe that sometimes when we're going through things in life, we might not ever understand where God's coming from when He does certain things in our life. We might not understand why He tells us to sacrifice certain things in our life, but it's always for the benefit of Him and the kingdom. And in the end, it always turns out better. When I was being selfish, doing the things that I wanted to do, it always turned out horribly. I lost a piece of myself, all of myself. I was sad. I was unhappy. I couldn't see where I could find peace or joy anywhere. It just felt like I was just in an absence of space and time, just floating around with no real direction. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but it really was just like there was nothing. So, so I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm in this grocery store, I'm about to make a cake. So I call my grandma and see like what kind of extra things I need to get and things like that so I can make this cake good. Because I'm not just trying to have a regular store-bought cake. I want to have like a bomb store-bought cake. And especially when you're not putting like milk and butter and sugar and all the stuff in there. And then you don't have to worry about getting all the other ingredients. You just have to get a few key things that will make the cake unique to you and still be delicious. So I'm one of those cooks who's not a cook, but I'm one of those people that when I bake, I like to make stuff different. Like I don't want it to just be average. I want it to be as easy as possible because I am not about making it difficult just to look fancy in front of other people. Like I'm about doing the easiest thing that I could possibly do when I have to cook something that takes the less amount of time. I am not trying to do the most, doing a 2-3 hour slow cooked meal. I mean, well, you throw it in there and then it's done eventually. But if I'm really hungry, I don't like to just wait 3 hours to eat food unless it's Thanksgiving. so so I'm in there and I'm getting that stuff. And I did have like this little thing that popped into my head, but I don't know if I want to talk about that when I used to eat healthier and stuff. But when I first started eating healthy, I don't think that's relevant. So we'll just skip over that. so so I'm in the store and I'm picking out the stuff and I'm like, yeah, I'm about to make a cake. Like I feel like the happiness starting to flood all over me. And it's so weird because in the morning I really would have never thought that I would be able to feel the joy again. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's weird because when I get into a mood or when I feel a certain type of way or when something in life hits me a certain way or I'm going through a storm, trial, or tribulation, it really does feel like it's a fog in front of you and you can't see how things are going to turn out better or how things are going to work out for your good. And I know faith is the hope of things unseen. I have to constantly keep reiterating that to myself because sometimes especially in a waiting season, especially when, a lot of my friends aren't doing the same thing that I'm doing, or I don't have a lot of people who are trying to be, walking the same path that I'm walking, or on the same journey, or going through the same things that I went through. And so it's hard because when you're doing it and you don't have someone else to talk to about it, like I have God to talk to about it, I just don't have any other person who understands what it feels like to have gone through my situation, or, to be like a single parent, or to be completely focused on my faith. I mean, there's, some people in my life that God has introduced me to who are in the same situation, but I never talk to them. So it's just, it gets a little hard. So I gotta move around because I'm not as young as I used to be. So, so I am in the store and I'm picking out the stuff. I got everything good to go. And my grandma, while I'm on the phone with her, she's like, I was thinking about making such and such soup. And she's like, but I don't know if that's something that you would want. She was like, I was going to ask you to get some ingredients from the store so I can make it. She was like, but I don't know if that's something that you'd really want to do. I said, what? What ingredients do you need? So I'm like reaching, like not rushing, briskly walking over to the ingredients to get them for my grandma so she can make this soup so it can be super delicious so I can eat this delicious meal. And so, and then it was a whole thing, but so my grandma starts, cooking stuff in the kitchen, but she's boiling water, making other stuff because I went to drop off the ingredients to her for the thing. And then she said, I was telling her about my daughter, and I said, she left this morning. She makes her own lunch, and she's super independent and stuff, so she likes to do her own thing. So I know you're probably gonna like criticize me and scrutinize me and everything else, but I don't check her lunchbox before she leaves or anything. I pick out the type of foods that she likes and the type of fruits or, drinks and stuff, and I put that out there so she can kind of grab it and put it in a lunchbox and go. And I did not get I did not fill her stock of whatever it was. So for lunch, she would have had like fruit and a drink or something, or unless she made a sandwich, which I don't know if she did or not because I didn't check her lunchbox. So she goes, I'm at the store, I get to my grandma's house, and I'm like, yeah, she left this morning, but I didn't even check to see if she had anything to eat. My grandma said, my baby didn't have any food. So next thing you know, grandma is frying up some like little pieces of chicken and making mashed potatoes and gravy and cheesy broccoli. And then she got out, bust out the container, like the little teeny container, so she could put some ranch or other stuff on the side for my daughter. And I'm just like, she's so spoiled. She was like, don't hate on my baby. But I'm saying all that because even when you are in a mood, when the adversary is playing on you, trying to weaken you, to make you believe that God isn't who he says he is, when the negative thoughts creep in and you're having mental warfare and it's really making you feel like there's no rainbow, there's no sun at the end of the storm, and it just feels like you can't see how you're going to make it past this. When you start doing things, first call out to God and then do things that will release some of that negative energy. For you, it might not be exercising, it might be just going for a walk if your health allows you. It might be writing or reading a book just to escape your life for a moment, and to, not saying that you need to escape it, but you don't being in that negative state too long can really weaken you physically and emotionally. Your body can start to tear down because you won't be doing the things that you would need to do. And so I think it's really important for you to refocus your mind on something else, something healthy, something that will add to you. And then after you do that, do something else that is adding to self-care or you loving yourself. so that you can remember who you are and who God created you to be. Don't just allow the world to make you feel like you're less than and your standards are crazy and you don't deserve someone who truly appreciates you, that will take the time for you, or you don't deserve to be appreciated and treated right and whatever else. Like, I want to share this because I want to be transparent, and I think for single people it'll help them, because the weird thing is, it's so weird because I'm the person that likes being single. But it's something about knowing that God wants me to be in a relationship that makes me feel like, oh my gosh, like, when is it going to happen? And I don't even want to be in a relationship, which is the weird part. But it's like Satan knows that that's a concern of mine. So he's playing on that insecurity to try to see how weak he can make me, to make me lessen myself and just lower my standards for any person, instead of waiting for the person that God has for me. And I think the adversary will always use something like that against you, because he wants to make you feel like there's no hope. But if you're going to have faith, you're going to have to know that it's not going to be something that you've seen before. The relationship that I want, I don't have an example of that. And I'm not saying I don't see people who love each other that don't seem like they're healthy like mine. I don't want to put it out there, because the adversary hears everything you say, and anytime you have some kind of hope, he's going to try to break down anything of hope that you have in your mind that you feel like will help push you through, is something that he's going to try to poke a hole in to make your faith weaken. And so for me, because I don't know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, let's just say how or whatever, I feel like this sense of urgency, even though there's no reason to rush. It's like life is going to happen the way it's going to happen. But he puts this sense of urgency on me, like, I need to figure everything out at this very moment. I can't wait another day or another minute or hour or a year. Like, I have to know exactly right now what it is, when it's going to happen, who it's going to happen with, what the whole procedure is going to look like. And it's like, you feel like like if this was your friend saying that, you would say something like, chill out, like, why are you stressing about this? And he's really like, he is really taking he he is really pushing things in my face. Like, he's showing me all of these horrible relationships. Why am I laughing so hard at that though? Oh my gosh. He is Mm, 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 mm. He literally is showing me every single terrible relationship I could ever want to see in my life. And it's almost like, and you would think that I would take that and just be like, I don't want any of those relationships. So you're just proving to me that I'm going to be single for a long time. but but I can't pretend as if it doesn't affect me, because it makes me, instead of me feeling like, okay, it makes me feel like that as well. But instead of me just feeling like, oh, well, it's going to be whenever God says it's going to be, and I can't say a long time, I just have to say whenever God says it's going to be, it's more like it's making me feel like my standards are irrelevant. Like, me having my standards and boundaries is invalid. Like, what is the point of me doing it if every single relationship is like this? If every person is willing to settle and not have someone put forth any effort, or any person really put in any work or do anything, if every single person has a person who treats them like crap, or does a few things here and there but really isn't a good, kind-hearted person, if every person has someone who talks to them any kind of way, if every person has someone who doesn't appreciate them, if every person is in a relationship with someone and they just settle for these things that I feel like, I hope to God that I don't have to ever settle for in my life, is settling for that. It makes me feel like, what is the point of me having standards if there's not going to be anybody that's willing to step up to the plate and to really put forth an effort, or to feel like I'm valuable? And I know you're probably thinking, the right person is going to think you're valuable. I know that. But we're in the waiting season. We're not in the it's already there season. We're in the faith season. So when you have to have faith, you don't see anything. It's and I don't want to make it seem like I don't see anything. I don't see anything that's hopeful. I don't. And so I meet nice people and things like that. But when it comes to, because when you have faith, it's not that you're going to see an example of the thing that you want. Sometimes the thing that you want is the thing that changes generations. What I want is something that will change a whole generation of women that come after me. And in order for me to get that, I know I have to keep my standards, but it's not easy being the only person that's doing that. It really isn't. And every day I feel the hope inside of me weaken a little bit. And then I have to keep praying. I have to keep staying in my word. I have to keep remembering why I'm doing it. I have to remember that there's a bigger cause. There's a bigger reason why. It's not just about me. It's about all the other women and men out there who have broken households, the people who are broken because of the people who aren't healed, because of the people trying to hurt them because they've been hurt, because of the people who are constantly trying to break each other down and play manipulative tactic games on each other to feel like they have the upper hand when neither one of them is winning, because they're both still not being vulnerable. They're both not still being loving and appreciating and respecting one another. It's all just some sick game to see who can end up on top, and no one's really getting real love that God intended them to get in their life. And it's so crazy because I would like to pretend like I'm super strong, and it's so easy to just sit here and wait for the person who's going to be willing to do all of those things. I like to sit here and pretend like every day I'm good. I'm 100%. I'm I'm just so like by the book, and because I was created by God, I know that I'm worthy. I'm going to say this. Hopefully no one takes it the wrong way. It hits different when you know you're worthy and every single person that comes after that doesn't see your value or know that you're worthy. It's it hits different when you're the only person who believes in yourself, and that every other person that sees you thinks that you're weak, or thinks that you don't deserve better, or thinks that you don't deserve to have someone who's going to actually treat you right, thinks that you don't actually deserve to have someone who's going to respect you or cherish you or value you as a person. When you meet tons of people who all think that you're not worth it, it's not like I'm walking around like, oh yeah, well, God's got better for me. I know that in my heart. I really truly know that. But it takes everything in me, like literally the strength of God, prayer, Bibles, self affirmations, motivations, positive self talk. And even then, sometimes I still feel like it's really difficult to stay faithful and to keep hope when I see so many toxic, unhealthy relationships, when I see all of the people around me settle for less, when I see the guys who pretend like they're really interested. And I say pretend because I don't know if somebody's interested unless they say they are. So when I meet the guys who pretend like they are interested, or they just want to prove that they can get my number, and then that's it. Like once they check that one off the box, then it's good. Or once they ask me out and I say, oh, I'm not ready, then I'm not moving fast enough for them, and then they decide to move on. Or if I'm not ready to do like certain things yet, because I'll know when I'm ready. Like, and I'm not saying it in like I can predict the future, all this other kind of stuff. I'm just saying it in whenever I have a standard or a boundary, every single person, and I know they're just not the right person. It is just really hard to stay hopeful when everyone's into playing games, when everyone's trying to manipulate each other, when they see you as nothing. They see you as unworthy of the love that God intended for me to have in my life. When they see me as a person who is asking too much. When they see me as a person who has standards and they feel like my standards don't matter, that they just want to do whatever it is that they want to do. It is so hard, even with prayer. And I'm only saying this because it's hard for me, and I'm the person who likes being single. I can only imagine how detrimental and soul crushing it is to the women who really do truly desire to be in a relationship at this very moment, that really do want someone to respect and appreciate them, to appreciate and love them. And every person they meet is telling them that they're not worthy of anything. It's telling them that they're not good enough. It's telling them that they need to settle for less than what God intended for them to have in their life. It's telling them, and when I say telling, I don't mean that they say it with their words. I mean their actions are like validation of inconsistency, of miscommunication or non-existent communication, of non-reciprocity. Their actions are, I'm not doing anything because women just usually just give me whatever I want. The comments, the remarks, the disrespectful tone, the vulgarity of it all. It's just so disrespectful. It's as if you're spitting on a woman and telling her that she's not worth anything. The disrespect level that I have encountered in the past 3 months is unlike anything I've ever, and I can't say never because I was in that long-term toxic relationship, but I was not anticipating having every person try to tear me down. I mean, there was one or two nice people, but I was not anticipating that there would be so many men that hated women. And people are going to try to cancel me for that. They're going to say that's ridiculous. I don't, and if you're saying you don't and you know you don't, then it's not about you. So, and even for men, when I look out and I see these good guys who are good men and the women are just making them pay for all the other men, for the several men that I just named, it's so disheartening. It really is. I don't know what we have to do to change things, but something has got to change. It has got to change because I can't do another 3 months of this. I know God's saying that I'm supposed to be in a relationship, but if I have to deal with this, I love you, God. I do love you. Whew, you're going to have to give me the strength. I promise you, because I don't know. I, mm, 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 mm. I mean, this is 3 months. You can see, this is why I'm working on my patience, because I really have zero patience and I'm trying to do better at it. And it's hard to try to be more patient and still have standards at the same time. I know that sounds silly, but seriously, being patient does not mean being weak and lowering your standards. It means patiently waiting for the things that truly matter, the things that God really intended for your life, for the position that you've been working hard at that God said is yours, for the child that you haven't been able to conceive, but God is saying that in due time, for the bill that you need to pay, and at the day before the bill is due, God ends up giving you the money for the bill in one way or another. I'm not saying you don't do any work. Don't just pretend like God's gonna just hand you things just because you're a person. Like, you really have to put in work. You have to do something, because faith without works is dead. Anytime that you are trying to be faithful, you have to be willing to put forth some sort of work. And the weird thing is, I take courses. I work on myself every day. I'm always trying to be better. I'm always trying to learn how to communicate better. I'm trying to be a nice person. I'm trying to lead with love and kindness. I am being respectful to other people, no matter how nasty and disrespectful the person is to me. I'm always trying to be calm and to be respectful. And even though I do all of those things, I still have people trying me. They really try it. They do. They try it. Oof, Jesus, they be trying it. Mm, 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 mm. It's only the strength of God that is really getting me through this moment in my life right now, because it is not easy. It's not. And people will look. I mean, when I do get the person who is going to really truly honor and respect me, who's going to know that I am worthy, who will see the value in me, who will be a good man, who is kind-hearted and honest, who's hardworking or whatever else, it has some sort of vision for his future. When I get that person, whew, I'm not gonna say, do you want to know all the things that I had to go through to get you? I'm not gonna say that. And maybe he'll look at this video and he'll just probably laugh or something and be like, "You went through all of that?" And I'm gonna be like, "Yeah." And it'll be some kind of funny joke that we just get to talk about, because what God has for me is way better than all the HE double hockey sticks that I have to go through right now. And I might just have to take a break and just not, and I'm not saying not focus. It's not that I'm out here just looking at people like, oh, you, like, oh, I have to get with someone. No, I just literally am minding my business, which is why, which is why I don't understand why this is happening. I literally just smile. I'm having a good day. I'm going about my business. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm just like enjoying my life. Being single, doing single stuff, going to the mall, going different places, just really enjoying the time that God's given me. And then people just keep approaching and approaching, and then they're all not about that life. So I don't even know, like, what is the purpose? Do you just have like like on Saturday at 1 p.m. I'm going to waste somebody's time? Like, I don't know, like, what in the world? I didn't ask for this. I'm really truly getting tested, and God is really keeping me in this moment, because before I might have lost my religion and I might not be the kind, nice person that I am right now, but only because God is who He is, and He really has graced me and brought me through so much. He is the only thing that allows me to lead with love and kindness no matter what the person acts like. And thank God I didn't meet them 15 years ago, because I can't promise you that I would have behaved as eloquently and ladylike as I did in these past few months. Whew, I was something else. But yeah, so God just really does give you what it is that you need to pull you through that season. And I'm hoping that, and I know God will give me what it is that I need to carry me through this season of my life so that I can be where it is that He needs me to be. I don't want to rush anything. I don't want to have anything prematurely. I want to make sure I take my time and I only do what God intends for me to do. Some of the things that some of the things that God has given me in my life have really been helping me. And in stages of my life where I went through storms and things like that. And I really truly feel like, this is just me being honest, a little frustrated. And, and I would like to pretend like I'm not frustrated or whatever. I don't feel a certain type of way, but I do, because it's different. No, it really wouldn't be different if I was a woman who was desiring to be in a relationship. And one day, when the time is right, I'll be in a relationship and all that. I'm just saying that it would be different if I was the type of woman who was trying to seek a relationship. Not that they deserve any of that at all either. It's just that I could see if I intentionally was like, I have to find a person, and then the adversary sent all of these people who were not it, and was like, and was like, oh, here's a fake promise that I'm giving you so they can pretend like this, because the adversary knows exactly what it is that you want. So he gives you all of these things, and they all turn out to be duds. Like, it's not what you want. And even then, though, I was saying that as a joke. Even then, I don't think any woman deserves to have to go through all of that. But I also think this is just the silver lining in me that, a lot of people don't like. But, but I feel like when God allows you to go through certain things in your life, like this season of my life, Lord Jesus, I can't wait. I can wait because I know there's certain things that will build my character and turn me into the person that you're creating me to be. And I know I'm going to become better. So I have to go through certain things so that I can develop and learn and grow and break things off of me that I thought I was over, but I still got a little bit of that in me. Like those things, I know that he's working in his favor for his good, and I need to go through those things regardless if I want to or not. And in the end, I honestly feel like it'll help me appreciate the person that I'm with more because I'll know this isn't just a every person thing, regardless if I have standards or not. It's going to have to be that person who's really willing to put forth an effort, who's really willing to have reciprocity, the person who is really going to be willing to communicate with me and allow me to talk about how I truly feel about things without feeling like my opinion doesn't matter. Someone who really will be consistent because they will be pursuing me and putting forth an effort because they'll know that this is what they want. So when I do get that person, it'll feel like a breath of fresh air and it won't be like everyone else. And I'll be able to see it, discern it better because I'll know, well, it's definitely not this. Or it's definitely not that. And God will say, yes, grasshopper. This is what I've been trying to tell you. All things work together for my good. But there was another thing that the pastor said that really was helpful. He said that when you feel weak, this is another like little extra bonus thing that I didn't know before today. And I wish I would have known it at the beginning in this morning. But I feel like God he does things at an appointed time because he knows us. So if I would have asked for his help before I came to the realization that those are the things that I needed to do to work through the the weakness that I felt, to work through that cloud over me, then I wouldn't know how to get out of a situation like that in the future. So now in the future, I know I need to call on God. I need to work out or do whatever else. I need to do whatever it is that I need to do to become a better person, to grow, to learn, to break past any of the strongholds that are on me. And the pastor said that whenever you need God to fight a battle for you, when you feel weak, when you don't know how you're going to make it through, and of course you're not going to be able to see, but part of having faith is knowing what to call God in the moment that you need him. And he said, Jehovah Sabbath, Sabah, Jehovah Sabah. And that means fighter. That means that God is fighting the battle for you. That means that you ain't even got to get your hands dirty. God's got this one. You could take it over to him. He can work everything out for you. Now I know there are some things in life that we have to go through so that we can become better, so that we can learn and grow and understand why those things had to happen. Like for me, if I had to choose, I'll be in a position. That's it. If I had to choose, in a different position that I wanted, that whatever else, I'd be in it right then and there. If I, wanted my business to earn $1 billion a year, bam, there we go. If I wanted to be in a relationship with someone who truly appreciated and loved me, the very first person I went on a date with, because I like to make things complicated sometimes. So what I would have done is I probably would have gotten to know and went on a date with one person before I met the person who was the one. I wouldn't want to go through a whole string of events. I wouldn't want to meet several different people. I would not want to torture myself and feel beat down to the ground and run over with the cement truck and torn into little pieces as if I'm invaluable and feel like crap and have people like literally, not literally, but feel as if people are spitting in my face and they are making me feel irrelevant and making me feel like I don't matter when I have a lot of people to inspire, when I have a business called First Love Yourself, when I have been working on myself so hard. I feel like the 2 years in comparison to 3 months is luckily I had 2 years of building myself up, because if I didn't, they would have literally made me feel like I want to settle for something less. They would have made me feel like my ask is too much. They would have made me feel like everything that I'm looking for is impossible when God can do anything. And so, thank God he knew what I needed to go through in this journey to be able to at least still stand, because it would have taken me out in the past if I had not been healing and I went straight into meeting people or whatever else. It really would have taken everything out of me. So thank God he does what he wants and not what we want, because I would have thought it would have been helpful, but really it wouldn't have. And then it really makes you appreciate certain people when you see what other people are like. Oof. Mm, 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 mm. Yes. So, in conclusion, what are you willing to sacrifice for God? I know you're willing to be obedient most of the time, hopefully not all of the time, and also be willing to sacrifice something. It could be God's telling you to serve somewhere and you wanted to spend that night going out to a club or somewhere else. You might have to sacrifice for God. It might be God's telling you to not go into that new position, to go and do something else. You have to be obedient to God and make sure it's God. Do not just make a decision like that and then be like, well, God told me, and then you haven't done anything. You just sat at home, not putting out feelers, not growing your business or doing anything. You just been doing nothing. Then you expect God to be able to bless you. Like, you got to really be putting in some kind of work somewhere if that's what God's telling you to do, because he's not just going to lead you nowhere. He's always doing things intentionally. And so whatever it is in your life, it could be a friend that you have to let go of. You could say, we've been friends 20 years, but God knows that in the next season, that friend will not be able to be the friend that you need them to be. They would be jealous, or they would be envious, or they would try to ruin your business, or they would really talk down to you. Or if you have he has a vision for your life and they don't see things happening in their life, it could make them jealous or whatever else. You never know what it is. And who's to say he won't bring them back in when they are at a stronger level, or when they can they can be the friend that you needed them to be in that moment later. Or there's another friend who comes in who is the person that God intended to be in your life, even in relationships. Maybe your type used to be blah, and God's saying, not in this season. You're not about to, we didn't go this far so that you can go backwards. We are moving forward in life. So I don't know what you're going to need to do, but we're going to have to break that off of you. And some people could say it's a sacrifice. Some people could say it's a grateful gift of giving things away that you don't want anyways. I don't know. But it could be a person that is in your life and God's like, this person's disrupting your peace and your joy, and you haven't been able to sleep since you met them. So what I need you to do is let them go. You're probably saying, but they're a nice person. They're good. It doesn't always have to be a mean, evil, spiteful person for them to destroy your peace. Sometimes it's certain things that someone's going through inside, like in their soul, something that they're struggling with, some kind of demon, some kind of something else that's on them, that when it gets on you could crush you. And God doesn't want that to happen to you. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means that they can't be in your life in this season, right at this very moment, because you need people surrounding you that are hopeful and joyous, that are building you up, and not someone who is going to be envious, or who won't want to see you win, or who won't want the best from you, for you. So be willing to sacrifice for God, because Everything that God has given me in my life is so worth it. I'm willing to sacrifice being single for God. I'm willing to sacrifice being single for God. See, I had to change that because he likes a grateful giver, not a spiteful or somebody that sounded like that as a giver. He wants someone who is really going to be a grateful giver, who is willing to sacrifice, just willing to sacrifice. It might not be easy, but I know that it would be necessary. And anything that God has for me in my life is going to be way better than anything that I could want, anyways. And when you feel like you don't have hope and you can't see how you'll ever meet someone who will respect and honor you and treat you, or who will honor you and love you and treat you the right way, or treat you the way that God intended for you to be treated. When you feel like everyone around you is settling, when you feel like there's no hope, remember that God is your hope. Remember that there was no example of anything until it happened. Harriet Tubman did not have an underground railroad, and everyone knows that's above ground. I just have to say that because there's a lot of people that think it's like a underground railroad, but it's really just different avenues and things that she would take to lead people to freedom. But she did not have a map of how she could do that to be able to do it. This is something that she had to do that was different from anyone else. And I mention her because she's one of my biggest influencers that I have in my life. When I think of her, when I think of the things that she sacrificed for God's glory, for helping and serving other people, that's the type of person I want to be. I want to be the type of woman who inspires other people. And honestly, in the past 3 months, it's been a little difficult because I want to be strong and I don't want to be a hypocrite. And it's really hard. But I know that there's so many other women that are coming behind me, that them being able to see me stand up for myself will encourage them and give them a healthy relationship that they so I don't want to say desperately, that they really, really needed in their life. They needed someone to show that it was possible, to show that it's not just one person who could be in a healthy relationship, but this is going to be a whole movement. It's going to be me and several other women and men who aren't going to settle for just someone for looks, or settle for someone who isn't really putting forth any effort, or isn't doing a give and take, that has no reciprocity. They want people who are willing to see value in them, to really respect them and honor them and love them and cherish them. And in order for us to do that, we're going to have to all be healed. We're going to have to all be at our healthiest state. We're going to really have to cut off people that don't deserve to be in our life, no matter how hard it is. And your mental health is the most important thing. When you feel yourself drift back into the old you, or you feel doubt seep into your mind, or you feel insecurity because of the person that you're allowing to lower your standards, when you bend your boundaries, and you feel yourself start to have horrible days when every day was peace, someone's disturbing your peace, then that person has to be removed out of your life, no matter how good they seem, no matter how many characteristic traits they have that you like. And you know the adversary that knows exactly what it is that you want in a friend, in a person, in a job, and in everything. Don't always expect every trial to be the adversary and every blessing to be God. Sometimes the blessings will look like a blessing, but it'll really be something that the adversary used to take you out. So be diligent and make sure that you use discernment and listen to God, because he will not steer you wrong.